Hi,
Hello.
we're back, and what we thought we'd share with you today came out of a conversation we were having the other day about living in a beautiful feeling. And one of our mentors, Sydney Banks, would often point people to live in a beautiful feeling. And it seems like, well, that's just kind of like positive thinking, isn't it? Let's just be happy and be in this beautiful feeling. But as we've begun to understand more and more of what Sid was pointing to, I've come to realize that he's talking about a beautiful feeling, but we often translate that in our minds to the emotion of feeling good and pleasant and happy and all that. But what I've discovered is that what he's pointing at is something different than the emotion of feeling. There's the emotion of love, and then there's love itself. And so, in trying to explain this to other people, what I was looking at is how this beautiful feeling that he's pointing to is basically occurs when we rest in who we really are. We've talked about that before. We've talked about who are we really? It's like, am I this body? Am I thinking? Am I my role as a husband or a parent? Who am I really? And we begin to say, I'm not this role, I'm not this body. So what am I? And it boils down to, when you take it all away, I'm just this love, this joy, this peace that is. It's not a thing in the same way that a beautiful feeling isn't an emotion. It just is. And an interesting analogy, analogy, I guess I would say, uh, is to think of a war-torn area. I mean, there's always war going on, and if there's any place where there's a lack of peace, it seems to be where there's a war. But if we think about that place where the war is occurring, if you take away all the people, what is there? You take away the whole people aspect, which is basically all of our thinking and all of our behaviors and all of our beliefs and the behaviors that come out of our beliefs. What is always there in the midst, underneath this war that's going on? If you take the people away, there's just peace. Peace is what is. And then we get involved and we add all these layers on top. So I was thinking it's a lot like that. I feel like what Sid was pointing to is this peace, this love that we are. And then our experience of life is so often, if we aren't experiencing the beautiful feeling, it's because we've added all this stuff on top of what is there to begin with. We've added it on top of this this essence of who we are, this true nature of who we are. And we get lost in it. It's like it gets our attention, these strong emotions, but that's very different from the beautiful feeling that is always available.
Yeah, I love how you talk about that, Bill. It's very beautiful. Me, I'm the one who always wants to know how. How do I experience a beautiful feeling? Well, how not to is to give attention to the thinking mind, all the thoughts that move through the thinking mind. That keeps us locked in the intellect. And it's like Bill says, a covering over our true nature. How to is simply being present. How do we get present? We relax and let the thinking mind just settle down, as we've said so many times. And in that relaxation, we no longer need to give our attention to the thinking mind. We can let those thoughts move on by like clouds in the sky. They're just an experience that's happening that we don't need to attach any meaning to. And as we spend more and more time in that rested place, which is in the present moment, that joy, love, peace, well being that we are bubbles up more and more. The more we experience it, that's the good news.
Yeah. Oh,
And there's one other thing. If, as life presents challenges, we become open, relaxed, and willing to accept them, whatever they are, instead of trying to control it and have our preferences met, that allows us to be in the present moment and to let those beautiful feelings bubble up. So, what I do, I surrender to life. Whatever life brings, I look for the gift in it. What can I learn here? What is this circumstance in my life to show me and move me forward in my own growth? And I live in a beautiful feeling most all the time.
yeah. It's like it's always there. You know, what I think Sid was pointing to is an experience that is always there unless we move, into our thoughts. It's like when we get caught in these thoughts that we add on top of what's really going on. It's like that's the war machine. That's bringing the war machine into this peace, what is essentially a peaceful place.
Mm.
And I think we can see that it is our nature to let the mind settle and move back into that beautiful feeling. When you look at kids, you can look at them and they'll be fighting over a toy or something, and one of them ends up with it, and the other one's all upset, and they go storming off. And then 5 minutes later, they can be back and they're playing and everything's fine. And it's like, well, what happened? How did they? How can you just let that go like that? It was so important to you, and it just shows that, like Connie's saying, the mind will settle if we don't give our attention to it. We talked about the snow globe before. You shake a snow globe up, and you can't see the essence, that beautiful little thing in the middle of the snow globe, but you set it down. Its nature is to settle down, and then there it is. And it's the nature of the mind to settle down if we don't keep shaking it up, if we don't keep giving our attention to these thoughts going round and around and giving them the meaning that is the source of the shaking.
So, playing it this week, every time you notice there's tension, relax. Let the thinking mind settle, open to whatever is occurring, surrender to life, because life only wants the very best for you, as we've said before. It only wants to support you in your growth and evolution, which I think is very lucky.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I just want to now tie it back to food, because our website originated all around food and our relationship with food. And how is what we're saying relate to food? And to me, it's very clear that so many of the clients that we have and have had, their relationship with food is using food to try and get into a better feeling.
True.
They feel stressed from work, or something happened with their kids or something, or the iPad isn't working. And they kind of instinctively go to food, because food can actually change the feeling we have in our body. That dopamine, you get the food with the high fat, high sugar, crunchiness, it's like it produces neural dopamine, neurotransmitters that have us experience pleasure. And so we often will use food as this attempt to get back to that beautiful feeling that we know is our essence.
Yes.
It's not that we're doing something wrong, it's just misguided. It's like we know if we're upset, there is something more beautiful that we can return to, and we just haven't understood that it's our thinking mind that's creating the tension, that lack of a beautiful feeling that's clouding the sun from being seen. And it will move by, and that feeling will be there. The food is kind of a poor substitute. So,
Doesn't work long term.
well,
Doesn't
it
work.
doesn't work. It has complications of its own once we do it too much.
Speaking of food, tell them about the beautiful recipe.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. What we did this week was what I call Mexican corn bites. So we had a neighborhood block party, and we were thinking, well, what should we bring? What should we bring? And we're SOS free, so our taste buds are very different, I think, from most of our neighbors' taste buds. So it's like, well, what can we make that makes, that works for the quality standards that we want to contribute, really healthy, organic, SOS-free food that will work for their taste buds.
Yes.
So what we have found is, particularly when salt is missing, that is something that people notice causes food to be kind of bland. What we found that helps to deal with that is a little bit of heat, like a chili, like a spice.
And or sweet.
And sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love Mexican food, and I thought, well, we want to do finger food, so it's real easy at the party. And I put together these little kind of mini muffins that uses an oat flour and rolled oat base to stick it all together. And then just added corn, jalapeno, and diced red pepper with salsa and a little heat in it. And they came out really good.
They were so good.
We got feedback from
Yeah.
our neighbors that they liked them. So we kind of snuck it in under the radar.
So try it. It is so worth your time and very quick to make.
Yeah, it's all done in the food processor. It actually does go pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
See you next week.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.